これよりオープンフォーラム2018の第3部パネルディスカッションに入ります。ディスカッションの後半では会場の皆様からのご意見をいただく時間を設けておりますので、みんなで一緒に考える機会にしたいと思います。
でさっきいろいろみんなからも聞いてたら、ちょっと意外な気もするんですけども、今日初めて4人の方はそれぞれ知り合ったそうです。なもんでそれぞれプレゼンテーションしていただいたのをお互い聞き合ってるので、一番最初、ごく簡単にですね、自分以外の人たちのプレゼンテーション、どういうふうな感想を持ったか、あるいは特にここのところはもう少し聞いてみたいということがあったら、そこから話を始めたいと思います。じゃあ話した順でアリスさんからやってもらう。いい？じゃあお願いします。
Thank you. So yeah, it's been really stimulating and lots of creative ideas. For me, it's I circled a few words from my notes. I'll share them to start with. Active, empowering, value, humane, public or public-private, good people and conversations and comfort. So for me, yeah, it's really interesting, and thank you everyone for your presentation. It's made me think a lot about when we started our space, someone did mention to us, it doesn't matter what you do, it's about who you are that makes the difference. And it is people, it is the human that connects with other humans. And through each project, I really, for me, emphasize that aspect of, I think for each person, you're interested in different aspects of the community or of the actual people who lives there or the actual people who farms or work with. And you investigate in their experiences and creating a platform for other people to understand their experiences, as well as for them to feel empowered and for them to further their passion and further their focus on what they think is important. And so almost this idea of like in Taiwan, with some libraries started creating a database of human libraries. So you can borrow a book of a human, and so you can book an appointment with another human being to have a conversation, to learn about their experience. And I think if we have this openness and this attitude to each person we meet and to each places we go, then so many dots can be connected, and this connection makes community, and this connection makes everyone feel empowered and participative, and also creating a very rich fiber and texture of a new kind of society. So, thank you.
Yeah, thanks everyone. It's really interesting. I think, yeah, there's lots of stuff that feels like it's really like shared interest in terms of collective knowledge and kind of valuing human experience. And it also feels like we're all doing similar things, as you said, in terms of kind of creating spaces for conversations or platforms. And that actually what's really interesting about that is that it kind of comes out of, I think, all of our own like love for learning from other people, and whatever form that is in. It's that love that is pushing us all to try and create spaces for other people to also, you know, it's like this kind of mutual exchange in different kinds of educational spaces. And the other thing I thought was really interesting was actually the appearance of the idea of narrative and storytelling in different ways, and that it's something which you guys talked about explicitly in your presentations, but that it's also present with Alice in terms of your kind of creating a narrative in terms of defining a new scene almost. Like it's like a different, that's something which you're within, and like you're trying to talk about a way of being in the world and a way of making sound and creating a community. And that's something which I think about a lot in relation to our work, like where is the performance, and how performative is anything. And I don't know, I think that's kind of an interesting thing to think about as well.
じゃあ続けてマイケルさん。
Okay. Really enjoyed listening to all the sharing and learning about like spaces that I've never heard about before, but can also see like similarities. In different spaces that I've also visited in the past, and I kind of feel like, well, I think like this idea, like Fran spoke about it a lot, like non-hierarchical, is collective decision making is something I think which is evident in a lot of our projects and or stories. And I also feel like a lot of the time we're kind of really helping like the government out and doing their job for them, in that we're in like 2018, and these types of processes, non-hierarchical, collective decision making, consensus, they should exist in many different spaces, and some very hierarchical spaces. Like I remember Alice talking about this like alternative education and learning like with each other. I really feel like having these platforms to discuss it and push each other to pursue these alternative ways of collective decision making are really important, and a good reminder, I guess, for like government-sponsored like discussions and sharings to take note from. For example, the 5-hour event, not the 5-hour event, the event which unpredictably lasted around 5 hours. Like we should bring that type of mentality to like office meetings, for example. Not try to make a decision within an hour and everyone talks for 2 minutes, but to really prolong that decision, like perhaps over 5 hours or over days, because we're talking about like real lives, people being displaced, evicted, and we shouldn't be so, I guess, complicit and carefree, and to really empathize with these communities that such spectacles and great events like the Tokyo Olympics are like acting as like a cultural bulldozer, but also bulldozing people's homes as well. Same in the Winter Olympics now, and I could see that there's a lot of like caring in a lot of the projects. It's a shame that I'm leaving tomorrow. I really want to go to the bar that Kenta shared. Maybe tonight. Thank you.
じゃあ中村さんの。
僕はもういろいろ思いましたけれども、できれば質問したいなと思っていて、いいですか？皆さんなんかこう参加型というかですね、トップダウンじゃなくて みたいなことをおっしゃってたんですけれども、本当に自由にどこまでも誰でも何でもやってもいい感じなのか、ある種そこにルールがあるのか、その場所ですね。なんかそこってどうなんだろう。でも今の話を伺うとやっぱり自由な、ラウンドテーブルっていうような言葉だったりとか、あとは今もねマイケルさんもおっしゃってましたけど、全くの自由なのかどうかをちょっと聞いていいですか？はい、どうなんでしょう皆さん。そこを利用する人たちは誰でもいいのか、自由なのか。
じゃあそれぞれ答えていただきましょうか。
I start again. I seem to be the person who speaks first. Lucky. So for me, working with collective, you can see collective as one as well. So even though collective could be maybe 200 people, but 200 people also generate one energy. And people, you can trust that energy. So, for example, a group discussion for me is working with the group as a group, and everyone senses each other's energy, and everyone senses, okay, we're now getting tired. This is rounding up. Where's the energy level of this group? So for me, it is still a collective decision of when to finish or when not to finish. And perhaps, yes, there may be one person who played the role of the host, such as me in our venue, where I would say, feel like it's about time, we're gonna finish. And I guess this happens with experimental music when everyone's on stage playing. We don't use language to say, I think there's 2 minutes left. We're gonna finish. But everyone listen to each other. And when you listen, it's not just to the sound, but also to the unspoken communication.
Where do you draw the line? I think for us there's quite, in projects, it's kind of different, I think, internal work versus external work. For projects, we are the role of other people as kind of participant or accomplice or co-author is determined, it changes project to project. So I was talking about, it varies quite a lot. But I think it's really important, even talking about the kind of work that we're talking about, to not undervalue the job that we're all doing as people who have ambitions and ideas to try and pursue certain, create certain kind of atmospheres or certain kind of activities or cultures. That's something which you need to also value, because you have certain experiences and certain skills that are useful in as far as you can harness them to empower other people, or create structures that other people can start to kind of engage with in the same way that you are. And then internally, I think it's difficult because I think, so we have no hierarchy, but that doesn't mean we have no structure. We went through, our whole organizational development has been 7 years of conversation trying to work out how to work together as a non-hierarchical organization. And so we have management rotating positions in the team, which we share, and like you do 3 months and then you stay for 9 and then you rotate and rotate, rotate. So it means that you have to share responsibility and you acknowledge the kind of work that goes into having different roles in the collective. And it is also just exhausting having 5-hour meetings. They are really tiring. We spent years just doing that. So I don't know if that's the answer. I think obviously it just depends on the situation. And that's not to in any way undermine what you were saying about like communities not being listened to. But yeah, I think it's complicated. I think there needs to be more space for conversation where people's voices can be heard in a real way. And that doesn't happen very often at all in the world currently, especially not in relation to having impact on like decisions around how cities are made or power structures are divided and things like this. So.
Yeah, I guess, like we've been mentioning this idea of the 5-hour meeting and and drawing the line. I guess we could have an alternative approach to like this type of terminology. So like drawing the line implies some sort of timeline or deadline. And of course there are events that, where they have to be executed within a certain time frame, but I guess it's the journey getting there. So as opposed to perhaps being like a curve, maybe it means like going back constantly and speaking to people who perhaps can't attend those meetings, or they need to think about it for 1 week before they could actually compose their reaction to it. And then I guess in terms of like the duration of these discussions, they don't have to happen in like very formal settings. They could be like a meal, or maybe it's like living together. And then by, one person going to the toilet and brushing their teeth, then perhaps the idea of how to go forward comes, and then they come back and then communicate it with another person. So, obviously, this is a very unique situation. How can you do urban planning, in such a environment? How can you have a conversation and make decisions over dinner? Well, actually, I guess it does happen with a lot of like behind closed door meetings. But yeah, how can we use informal spaces, like alternative meeting places, to collectively make decisions within a time frame if necessary? And I guess more often than not, maybe it's not necessary to have that timeline.
中村さん自体とこはどうなんですか？
うちですか？
自分自身に今の問いを、
基本的には同じ姿勢なんですけども、あとはなんて言うんでしょうね。やっぱりその場を作った後にルールというわけじゃないんですけど、工夫みたいなこともあると思ってですね。より対話が進む、会話が進む、自由に、いろんなことが起きる。なんか工夫みたいなことができると思っていて、とにかくどんな場を設けてもその後できる限り終わってもそこからしばらくその場に入れるような時間を設けるっていうのはよくやっています。そうするとその本番では話さなかった人たちが後から実はその場では話せなかったんだけど会話を始めるみたいなことがあるので、そういうことをしたりしながらなんとかいろんなことが引き出されるように工夫はしていますね。でもちろんね、24時間オープンじゃないんで、いつかは閉めなきゃいけないんだけど、そういう余白を作るようにはしてます。
ありがとうございます。僕自体それと少し関係あるんですけども、みんなの話を聞いててすごく、人の話を聞くっていうことがもうみんな大事にしてんだなっていうのがすごくなるほどっていうふうに思いました。誰でも割と若い時っていうのは自分の意見を 人に伝えるっていうか、喋る方を自分が喋るということをすごく大事にしてしまうし、そのコミュニケーション、あるいは対話の場といっても、いや私はこういうことをやってる、それで、みんなもそういうふうにいいことやってるから、やってと言って自分のプレゼンテーションというのが非常に強くなってしまう可能性もあると思うんだけど、皆さんがすごくやはり若い世代なのに、他者の話をかなりじっくり聞いて、それぞれの自分たちの行動にそれを生かそうとしているところに、感銘を受けるっていうか、そういう共通点があるなというふうに思いました。でも人の話聞くのは時間かかるじゃないですか。とにかく何時で終わりっていうふうななかなかいかない。で、そこの中でそういう余白の部分とかなんかどれくらい許容できるのかっていうのが、みんなそれぞれの場所で、工夫されてるのかなというふうに思いました。そうやって、特に都市計画、フランさんなんかそういう現場に近いところにいるかもしれないけど、そういういろんな人間がたくさんいて、何も同じことを考えてる人たちじゃない、そういう人たちの中でやっぱり、建築とかそういったものが出来上がっていくと、自分たちの未来っていうのがそこのところで形作られていくわけじゃないですか。そういったところにアセンブルズの活動とかなんかも関与していくってことになるから、それを使っていく人たちとどう合意しながらその場を作っていくのかっていうのがすごく重要になってくる。つまりいい建築作ったからっつってさあ住めっていうふうな形じゃなくて、実際に使っていく人たちといつも対話をしながら、作っていくっていうのをすごく感じたので、そこより大事にしてる活動なのかなというふうに思ったけど、そういう理解でいいですか、フランスさんの。
Yeah, there's a really amazing poem that one of the women who lives in Liverpool, who we've been working with, and the poem is about having. It's very funny. She's great. It's about not having anywhere to put the bins, but the recurrent theme in the poem is the phrase, "the people who know the best way for us to live." And there's this idea that in general, communities there's like consultation, which is not very rigorous and often quite tokenistic. And in general, especially when communities are vulnerable, people make a lot of assumptions about them. And, are telling them ways of improving their lives, or how they could be better, or how they could be healthier, or how they could be using their space differently, or how they should be living. And that's something which happens a lot, I think. I think the listening thing is really important, and I think that also relates to the conversation we were having around time and space and creating structures and like ways of managing events or whatever it is to enable that to happen. I think the idea that it's kind of like an act of like translation, which is where the skill I think lies in terms of like knowing what the methodologies are, what the process is that allows people to have proper conversations and you to learn from them in a meaningful way, but then to try and translate that either into a space or a community or into a kind of a network or into a kind of movement or whatever it is that we're all doing differently. But I think that's where the skill, where where we are all intersecting, and it's kind of this act of translating. Yeah.
マイケルさんなんかもそういうその都市、ね、いろんな人たちが住んでる都市に働きかけてる部分があると思うけど、今フラさんの指摘したようなところとか何か感じるところあります？こういろんなその不特定多数の人たちに、まあなんか関与していくわけじゃない。ああいう、屋台出したり農園作ったりしてって、でも、まあ、自分がやりたいからっていうだけの話じゃなくて、そこのところで、他に生きてる、まあ都市だからいろんな人たちが生きてるところに対してマイケルさんがなんかやっていくことと、まあ、どう対話をしていくのか、まあ、それが一番、僕が横で見ててマイケルさんが大事にしている部分ではないかなというふうに思ったんですけども、そのいろんな人たちとの対話ね。
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Hong Kong, there's a lot of people, like 7.4 million. And yeah, there's a lot of issues happening. Yeah, rural, urban. And I guess maybe I could share a story that happened last week. And sadly, I missed it because I was in Tokyo. But there was a property developer that decided to evict some residents during Chinese New Year, which is like a really cruel thing to do, especially, yeah, everyone's on holiday, some people go to China, and it should be impossible to find a place to live during, yeah, this 1 week, 2 week holiday. And the residents luckily had a meeting, and this was in an art space, which is supported by the government. So it was great that we could have this sponsored space to have this conversation. And me and friends from the market stall that you saw up there, we decided to attend the meeting. And at the beginning, the social workers and also the residents, they were like, who are these guys? Are they like, you know, middle landowners, like, you know, the bridge between landlord and developer or whoever? And we had to, yeah, take time to present ourselves and who we were, and then they were very happy that we joined the meeting to show support, because it was the third meeting. The first meeting there were a lot of people, the second less, and then the third people, yeah, even fewer. And this is relating to, yeah, the high number of working hours that people are simply surviving, so they don't have time to attend these meetings. But the social worker at that point, after we presented, he was really smart. He used our participation as a way to add momentum to their struggle. And yeah, he didn't glorify like our presence, but he kind of said, look guys, what's happening is really unjust. We've even got people who have nothing to do with your, you know, your residency status coming to support you. And then, yeah, a few days later I came to Tokyo, but before that I was able to just take 5 minutes to visit the place where they went for a protest a few days ago, and yeah, I took a couple of photos sharing how I see that place, the office of the developer, and you know where the fire exits are and stuff like that. So just simply taking 5 minutes, I was able to contribute despite being there. And I think that's something anyone can do if they go to a meeting or join a struggle or community or movement. Just spending 5 minutes with some action. Yeah, that's just a story I'd like to share. Oh yeah, and then sorry, I should also say that after the rally at the office, it was positive, and the developer decided to give them more time and have a collective discussion. So yeah, I'll be joining that when I get back.
こういう話聞いてると余計なんかこういろんなその、例えばすごい対立しているようなものの中に仲介に入って、まあ仲介っていうより間に入ってっていろんな人たちの 考えをこういい方向にこうなんか持っていく、あるいはその流れをこういうふうに変えていくとか、そういうことも、やっていく仕事の中に入っているような気もするんだけど、こういう話聞いてると、アリさんなんかその直接やってるんだと思うけど、即興の音楽ってこういろんなグループで即興の音楽をやってったりする時って、それぞれのミュージシャンの違いがあるじゃない。でそれをこう一つのものにこう、臨機応変にその場で起こる次々な変化っていうのをこう、誰が一番でオーガナイズするっていうことじゃなくて、全体として何かこう、いい方向にこう持っていこうとするってことは、意外とその即興の音楽を聴いてるとそういうことを感じる時があるんですよね。そういうこともつまり今度はそのご自身のアートワークと、それからその場のを運営していることっていうのは、意識されてるかどうかわかんないけど、かなり関係してると思いますか
？Yes.
So.
And I was thinking about, actually, as you were talking, my brain has this somehow a cooking show in front of me. And I was thinking about the ideas of how to cook with different ingredients, but not overpowering everything with one particular sauce. So for me, it's also this idea of everyone coming into a group and keeping that individual. But of course, there's certain things you match with the group. There's certain things that, for example, if I do a Ting Shuo presentation for an audience that is interested in experimental music, it would be a completely different presentation than today, whereas today is focused on community. So I think for each of us, we have lots of different layers of ourselves. And when we come to a group or come to a social situation, we bring only some of the layers, not all of it. And we meet with each other, the layers that can coexist. And I think the translator used the word mesh for your description of putting people together in music. And I think of it more of a collaboration or a coexistence rather than actually meshing together, because I think you can still taste each person and taste each sound without blending them all into one flavor, but the collectiveness still exists, and it's still one dish together. So still one whole. I guess the idea of also working with Taiwan education system is very focused on this community, and community sort of, I don't know whether community is the right word, but it's very focused on maybe the uniform of the group. Whereas also I studied in Australia, for my art education, they're very focused on individual. And I try to work with both. And for me, they're not the idea of opposite. They are the ideas that can coexist. You can have a group as well as having individuals in the group that is very much themselves.
面白いですね。まあなるべく会場とも話をしていきたいと思うし、さっきアリスさんがホストの役割っていうのはそろそろここでっていうようなことをするのがホストの役割だというふうに言ってたから、まあだんだんこう終わらす方に行きますけれども、一個だけまた一つ質問、それぞれみんな活動してて、すごくやっぱり刺激的な活動をずっと続けられてると思うけど、現実においてやっぱり、困ること、困ってることっていうのもあると思うんだよね。自分たちの、活動の中で、どうしてもここは改善していきたいなとか、経済的なことも含めて、今抱えてる困ってる問題があれば、それを、こういう皆さんで共有できる場も必要だと思うので、もしそういうものがあれば一言ずつ話していただけるかな。アリスさんからいつもやるから、今度は中村さんからやるか。
結構僕らはメディアがあって、求人サイトというメディアがあるので、全国各地から人が集まる場所でもあるんですけども、もっとローカルの人に来てもらいたいという思いがあって、もちろん町会にも参加してますし、おみこしも担いでるんですけれども、なんかやっぱり下町ですよね。下町に最近は清澄白河もいっぱいお店ができたりしてますけれども、もっと近所の人とお付き合いしていきたいっていうのはありますね。でその中で地域の集まりに参加したり、おみこしに担いだりするんですけども、やっぱり全員が来る必要はないかもしれないですけど、もっと多くの人に、逆に言うと僕らの方にも来てほしいなと思ってて、そこは時間まだ2年ぐらいなんで、清澄白河、これからじっくり、やっていきたいなっていうところですけどもね。
I think, well, when I showed the kind of horrific statistics, I think one way of alleviating the long working hours and also the expensive accommodation would be some sort of like universal rent control. One, perhaps, discussed between many countries. And this will, of course, trickle down and affect the number of hours people have to work. So we might see 52 hours being reduced to something like in France, which is, I think, like 37, 39 hours. And then perhaps even further, more progressive, and then we could consider like universal basic income, these types of concepts, which are being practiced in like North Europe. And we could find that we'll have more time to do leisurely activities like sports, and it will be a more humane world. Obviously, it's a long step, it's a journey, it's a process, a lot of meetings, a lot of discussions. But when countries are being progressive, other countries perhaps, could take note, and suddenly we become competitive, not in sport, but in urban planning and equitable societies.
A much more important thing to say than what I was just about to say. I can't just say I agree. Yeah, I was going to say something much more self-involved. I think I was really interested in what Alice was just saying about the kind of false dichotomies between like whether it's individual or collective, and that things are in reality like plural and simultaneous, and that should be acknowledged more in lots of different ways. But I think we have to deal with that in terms of the collective, because there's this tension between individual freedom and kind of collective responsibility, especially when it comes to money being involved, and so kind of financial responsibility for one another. It's really difficult. I think maybe it's actually an imaginative problem, not structural one, but it still seems like it's quite challenging one to address, and we're just constantly having to reorganize ourselves and like try new systems, and yeah, it's still a process. We haven't got to the answer yet.
Agree. An artist will always say, "Give me more money." But besides sustainability of a organization, another thing I think of is more how to. I think often in an education or in a community or in a discussion situation is easy to or it's we can generate sharing and generate whether it's experience sharing or knowledge sharing, but I think especially in Asian society, but as well as modern society, less and less we share our emotions, and a lot of us are very fragile emotionally and have no idea how to express something that is in our body or something that is perhaps embedded in the experience that doesn't have words to describe. So we would, I would like to generate more discussion that can create a very safe as well as open, but a very safe space for people to feel comfortable to be vulnerable, to be intimate, and to grow emotionally as well as through experience, through knowledge, through skills, technology. But I think it's very important to grow psychologically and to feel like there is there's empowerment through this communication process. And this empowerment, I think, there's certain events that has a little, in music perhaps we say the sustained sound or the relief of the sound. And I think some events, perhaps you think about it for the next week, and some connection you enter, it can last for years, and you can still feel the resonance of this connection. And hopefully we can create more of that emotional resonance through bringing people together and sharing together.
一応ここでこういうその5人で話していく時間というのは一応一段落させましょう。そして、まだあと30分ぐらいありますので、そうやって ここでの話でもとにかくこういう対話の場が必要だっていう話が散々出ているから、せっかく今日こうやって集まってくださって皆さんと、なるべく直に話し合う時間にしていきたいと思います。
Yeah, a lot. So actually, particularly, so I showed a few slides of an adventure playground, which is another project which we started, which is a child-led space in Glasgow, which was actually a public art commission that came out of the Commonwealth Games. So it was the Chris Hoy Velodrome Art Commission. And it could have been a statue, but we tried to advocate for a kind of space where this community of, particularly the kids, were kind of living in this island surrounded by like athletes' village on one side, massive car park for coaches, which used to be their playground and now is just tarmac on the other side, and then like 4-lane ring road on the other side. And they're just like totally isolated, and generally you could like feel, it's such a bleak environment around there, because you could like feel the fact that people are making decisions on the scale of a master plan. They're like, oh yeah, in 5 years this will happen, in 10 years this will happen, and actually that's people's whole childhood gone in that time, and they're just surrounded by hoarding and like construction sites and disempowering change. So we wanted to create a space that was in opposition to that, basically. And that's been really difficult, because most of the project has actually been around like working with staff, like doing training and taking people from that area to go and see other kind of child-led spaces and learning about organizations. But it's like, as much as you can create a space, for one thing, you have to be really flexible. And actually now what's happened is, because they always were cooking food for the kids on site, and so they started to get there's this program called Fair Share, which is like all of the things which are going to be thrown away from the supermarket, so they get all the things that would otherwise go in the bin, and that was meant to be a part of like ongoing food provision for the kids, but actually it's become kind of like an informal food bank for the area, because there's so much poverty. And so now, they're giving out food like on a weekly basis, like 20, sometimes 30 families. And that's really great. And then there's this other challenges around like diversity in that neighborhood, like political ideas which come out of a situation, people very, in very bad economic situation. There's a lot of like kind of, politics which aren't necessarily aligned with things that we identify with, but it's just a kind of something you need to deal with when you're working in those environments, in terms of like, people at the other end of the political spectrum from you, or having not had exposure to different kinds of cultural groups, or and that it doesn't. They're just things. I think the only way we've found, well, we haven't actually. Obviously you don't solve social. You don't solve society. That's obviously just impossible. All you can do is try and create sustained space for ongoing conversation. And like, I think it's just like it's just like the aim is just to be really long term about it. And so you can go about trying to have conversations around different problematic areas, because the fact you're there and you're like embedded over a long period of time.
I have a short story, and it relates to our market store again. And I spoke about it being a second-hand shop. You guys call it recycle shop. And I usually use the word we distribute second-hand objects. Sometimes I accidentally say we sell second-hand objects, and those second-hand objects are actually donations for free from our neighbors. So we have a rule at our market store that these objects are free pricing, pay what you want. So let's say a neighbor wanted this flask, they'd ask us the price, and we'll say, oh yeah, just pay what you think. The money goes back to support our space, and they could just put down, I don't know, like 50 yen, 100 yen, whatever, and we don't discriminate how much they put down, and we don't even look how much they put in the cup, the metal cup that we have. However, there was an incident where some kids who we know perhaps aren't well off, low income family, and they live on the top floor of a walk-up, which is quite representational of their economic status. These kids were coming down and selecting toys, and each toy they only put $1, which is like really little, but I'm completely, like personally, I'm completely happy with that it's pay what you think, and they only have $1 and they pay that. However, my friend who also runs that market store, he says that's actually encouraging them to be greedy. And so we would have like a debate sometimes until like 3 a.m. and at that point he misses his last bus and train and he comes to stay at my house, and then we discuss free pricing until 3 a.m. which isn't like the most ideal time to have a discussion, but through that we start aligning and we discover that why he thinks that they should pay more and why I'm completely happy with them paying $1. And it's about observing and seeing what clothes they're wearing, the cleanliness of their clothes, and making informed kind of decisions to allow such a alternative economic model such as free pricing to happen. And I guess this discussion is probably we have these frictions where we have to talk it out. I mean, I don't like discussing things to 3 a.m., but it resolved the conversation.
僕もそういう場を持っているとなかなかそういう場に来るのもハードルが高い人っていうのもいるんですよね。つまり一番そういう人たちこそ、またそういう人たちが来れる場所も必要なんじゃないかなと思っていて、でもそういう今僕がやっているのは、一生懸命来てでポツンとしてるんですよ。そういう人っていうのは一人でポツンとしてなかなか話せないっていうところが多くて、もうそこはですね僕はいいバーテンダーになりたいので、もう人力でですねこう話しかけたりとか、本当にコツコツそういうことをして、なんかこうで話を聞いてみるといろんなことが起きたりとか、いろんなことが始まったりってするんで、とにかくそこはもう仕組みでは解決できない部分がなので、人力で対応しています。
What I thought of was also the inclusiveness of our ideal of inclusiveness. We often trying to make we are very friendly and often have conversation with our neighbors, which are all mostly very old. So on one of the slides I show, we hosted a free open dinner outside of our house. But I think no matter how inclusive one can be, the majority of the group which comes to our events still create a particular identity. And although we try to invite many of our own neighbors to come and join us for the concert, for the events, for the dinner, they would still kindly refuse and say, "Oh, that's for you young people. I can stay here," or "I'm going to bed. That's for you young people." So of course, we're not trying to force different things onto people, but we're still trying to figure out how to generate different events that could make perhaps not everyone, but at least our street neighbors to feel comfortable to coming to our events?
I could talk about a little green book that we produced. So there's a group of fabric sellers in a low-income neighborhood in Hong Kong, and they've been asked, or actually they've been forced to relocate and have their rent increased 8 to 10 times by the government. So yeah, this is a 40-year-old fabric market. And we came together with social workers, urban planners, architects, professors, urban planning professors as well. And we created a little green book, which we call a community planning platform and our proposal. And I usually make zines, like mostly for like fiction or kind of just reflecting on something that happened. And it usually stays within, you know, our own little circles. But this little green book was a proposal for the government. And in one meeting, someone in the government lifted up the book, like to the public on television, and said, "This book is doing the government's job." And I really felt at that point that like a physical artifact, like something iconic, like Chairman Mao's little red book, we produced the green book, and that is very visual, and it becomes like a tool. So rather than saying, "Oh yeah, check out their PowerPoint, their PDF," having a physical tool that we rushed out, like speaks volumes. So this not project, but like this action really has taught me a lot. It's taken a lot of patience, government meetings, and it's been a 2-year process, which is like really long, but yeah, very positive so far. So yeah, these artifacts.
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends. I think it's complicated because sometimes the government is our client, in which case people, you know, then it depends what the project is in terms of like how you prove your argument can be through like direct action in the methodology of how you're doing the project, or I mean, the other way is like, I guess, infiltration. So working as a part of planning authorities, like there's a big move at the moment in London to try and change the way planning is happening, and so for it to become more, maybe more radical or more like aligned with kind of ideas that are coming out of young practices and like education. But I mean, that's also doesn't translate necessarily to what's actually happening. I think there is in some ways, like in Liverpool, actually being able to make a Photoshop is a really powerful thing, which is, you wouldn't really think, but like the image that I showed of the greenhouse, that kind of captured the imagination of the local authority there and really helped with the kind of making a case for getting ownership of the houses or building up. And like almost, it's like sometimes even something as simple as like graphic design, like producing a booklet at the beginning about what the vision for the kind of future development of the neighborhood was, like kind of very speculative proposal originally, like 5 years ago. But because it was like really like, you know, it looked cohesive, even though it included all these different voices, it gave them equal footing and respect and voice, and so then that becomes something which they like is speaking their language. I mean, I think we're also as individuals involved with like protests and actions, but as an organization, well, as a collective, we have quite like different positions on stuff, so we don't we're quite like tame, I think, actually, when it comes to getting involved with anything to do with political action as a group. Yeah, I think what's really important actually to say about Granby is that basically what's really great about this opportunity, I think in a similar way to some of what Michael's been talking about, but it's actually like most of it isn't our work. Like we haven't been there for like 30 years doing all of the groundwork. You know, the residents, the whole thing has been resident led. And so we're just kind of like a very small part at the end that can help. So it's really important to just say that, like, it's not, you know, it was only possible because of the conditions and the tenacity and like just like amazing passion and commitment that those people had worked for so long to do in their neighborhood. So we're kind of like, I guess we're just really lucky to have been able to work with them, really. And I think, you know, that there's something to learn from that, in that you can't artificially create that. You can't do that. And I think that a lot of misguided government conversation that happens at the level of government is about like, how do we get this thing to be ground up, or how do we change the way that we do things and then in reality they just need to be looking a bit harder at what the reality of the situation is now, and not like being like, not making a decision about how things are going to happen, then thinking, oh, actually, after we've done all these big changes, then how are we going to address the needs of the people who've been affected by what we've already done? Yeah, I think it's just about looking really closely at what people who are already doing all the work, basically. Yeah.
It might be worth noting that I also went on YouTube and I saw Tokyo artist protester like strip naked and climb a tree in Miyashita Park, and that didn't seem to work. Climbing trees, which is a tactic that people are doing in the US right now, but they're also taking it one step further. They're actually living in these trees 24/7, not coming down. So yeah, I just want to like recognize that struggle by living inside trees with the birds.
I think it's quite hard. It's hard to comment because obviously we don't really know the details of the situation. But I guess, I mean, yeah, it's really hard to say, not knowing what everything, like what's already going on. But I guess if you're talking about collective conversation happening online, it feels, I mean, it's obviously just, it's really important to try and like get together and have that conversation as a community of people who are interested in this problem, and then, you know, then you can talk about what kind of action might be possible or appropriate, or inappropriate.
I think that I know that in even in like UK, people, the authority is very keen on preserving the woodland, but some authority and do cut down. The people do really gather. So many people gather to protest in the UK, but it doesn't happen in Japan. So it's very difficult. So do you think what would be the good idea to raise awareness?
Yeah, and just say try and get together as with all the other people who are feeling the same as you. I mean, the UK definitely doesn't, it's not a good place for that kind of thing in lots of ways. There was recently, I think the greenest city, or Sheffield, is a city in the north that maybe you know about. That. Yeah, I mean, you've heard of Sheffield, which used to have all these extraordinary old trees, like hundreds of them across the city, and the council went into a PFI, which is Public Finance Initiative, which when the local authorities are kind of outsourcing provisions to, in this case, the kind of management of roadways to private companies. And there was like maintenance that they needed to do on like pavement, and because it was coming from the roots of these really old trees that was causing the problem with the pavement. They basically cut down.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Yeah, they like it's basically changed the face of the city forever. And like, you know, there's destroying nature rather than just like rebuilding the pavement around the you know, it's just like mindless. That's probably not helpful, but I mean, I don't know. I don't. It's difficult to. I don't know if anyone else has something else more constructive to say.
Sam, I don't know much about the situation, so this is not really a resolution of any thoughts, but I think it's really great you're speaking out and in a big group of people, and I believe there's many people here that have different connections to perhaps offer different ideas, and similarly, I would say, for me, it's not to lose hope and also to stay positive and but also to share like what you're doing here, to share about and this act of sharing, I was thinking about what Fran said earlier about where is the performance, or Michael was talking about this artist. I think as artists and what Fran's group is doing also, and I think what everyone's is using or trusting in the power of performance. And I think the power of performance generates public interest, and the power of sharing also generate collectiveness, and that generate change. So in believing each of these steps and in trusting that if I speak out today, it will generate some change. And even though it's not something you see immediately, and it's not something, perhaps this change is not, I'm not sure, not necessarily to change the government or to stop authority decision, but it will generate a different kind of change, and perhaps the change is then to, I'm not sure, to create different winter garden in abandoned houses, or to create private gardens on the rooftop, or to create different people offering their private spaces for public to gather, and for private spaces to become public gardens and public parks. Even though, you know, that is again what Michael say, we're all individually taking on what government are supposed to be doing, but I believe that will ultimately also still generate change in the government as well. So to believe in the chain of action and the chain of result that will eventually come out. Perhaps not in our generation. I don't know.
Thank you.
Perhaps it will take time.
じゃあすごく重要なご質問だし、こういう話っていうのは、延々とこうやっていく時間というか余裕が本当にあるべきだっていうふうに思いますけど、でもこういう質問をいただいただけでも、ここにいるみんなは一応そういう悲しみを共有できたかもしれないし、そういった中で、これから本当に2020年、それからその後のことも考えて、この東京っていう都市を魅力的なものにしていくんだったら、やっぱりいろんな発言をし、人の話聞き、そして行動していかなきゃなんないっていうところに来てることは確かだっていうふうに思います。それでは 残念だけど、時間が来てしまったし、これで、質疑パネルディスカッション質疑、終わりにしていこうと思います。みんな本当にありがとうございました。どうもありがとうございました。
以上で第3部パネルディスカッションを終了いたします。登壇者の皆様、本日は貴重なお話をいただきありがとうございました。皆様、今一度パネリストとモデレーターの皆様に大きな拍手をお送りください。